This is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. And the intention of these podcasts is to introduce you to the possibility of dipping your toe in the spiritual waters, the relationship with yourself, the spiritual waters of yourself, in such a way that feels safe and calm and validated and acknowledged, and that you're empowered to take the time it takes to do your path. Your path will be like no one else's path. Every single one of us, and there's now 8 billion or more of us on the planet, are having our own unique spiritual evolution, evolvement, and there's no one else that's doing it like you. And my job here in these podcasts is to empower you and support you in unfolding who that is and what that is for you specifically. Look at what other people are doing, listen to what other people are saying, read things, watch things, whatever it is that will help inform you, but then come to your own conclusions about who you are in there and what's your expression of self, what's your expression of truth and knowing. And that's what this is all about. And as I mentioned in the last podcast, this particular part of the series is started during the coronavirus pandemic. And so a lot of people are going, what the hell is going on here? Who the hell am I? And why is this happening to me? Why does the world look so sucky? Why does it feel like it's just despair and dread? And how is it ever possible to get back to something of reality, get back to happiness or joy, or even begin the process of moving in the direction of that? And that's the purpose of these podcasts, is to empower you and inspire you that you can make this journey by yourself, but you're not by yourself. You're in tremendous company of human beings and spiritual beings who are here to support you through this. Today, I wanted to talk about the pragmatics of a spiritual immersion practice. There is a guy, his name is Nisargadatta, and he wrote a book called I Am That. And I found a lot of frustration in the book, in that a lot of people were just asking the same questions over and over. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? And the bottom line is he was incredibly patient with every single person and saying, saying to himself, most likely, hey, they are where they are on their path, and they're looking for something. They're seeking an answer. And if they seek the answer, if they get the answer, it's like the button is pushed or the switch is flipped, and all of a sudden they have the life they want. And my experience is it's not that there won't be just this switch that gets flipped. There'll be a switch that gets flipped and you go, wow, I get it. I totally get it now. And yet it may not be sustainable to keep that switch on, and the switch flips itself off. Just like, when a fuse breaks or something like that in your house, and there's too much power surge or something, and the power surge flips the switch and it goes off again. And it's that learning how to be with the information in such a way that the switch goes on and it's sustainable. You can keep it on, which means more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment, more serenity, more calm, more stresslessness, more love, more abundance, prosperity, but more so just peace in your life, which is a really amazing gift. And I'm saying that from experience, from somebody who could hardly ever get a sense of peace, to really learning the practice of doing that day by day, by day, by day, by day, sometimes moment by moment. And it's just one day at a time, as the old slogans, the AA slogans are, go one day at a time or one moment at a time. It may be all that we can handle. Back to Nisargadatta, one of the things that he said, which was really valuable for me, was that this process of developing a spiritual practice is actually highly pragmatic in our life. For those of us who live in the United States, we're so driven by process and progress and productivity and getting money and just this honest, on the treadmill kind of thing. And we don't take the time to actually ask ourselves what it is that we're doing. What's the purpose of all this, other than we're chasing security, stability, and and stability, security, and safety. And that's not a really great place, especially moments like this with the coronavirus, where it's like people's jobs are gone, or, the stock market where people have lost millions of dollars. Like, where there was stability, there's instability. And it doesn't make sense in the linear 3D world, the consensus reality. We're going, this is a horrible, terrible thing. But from a spiritual perspective, as I mentioned in the last video or last podcast, there's a time for a reboot and a reset where so many people, like billions of people, are sitting home going, what the hell am I doing? What's the purpose of my life? And finding peace and joy in the space between having to be busy. And that's an incredible gift. It's hard to sustain because as soon as this coronavirus is over and the threat is gone, people will go back most likely to the old patterns because they're so entrenched in our being. But the point of this is that the pragmatics of a spiritual practice means that you begin to develop a sense of who you are and what you want in this life. What do you want to experience? What's the quality of life you want every single day? What's the quality of life that you want to bring to your children, your family, your partners, your friends, your community? What's the quality of life that you want now? Not when you retire, not later, now. And so that as you begin to know what those things are, what is it I'm intending through all this work, all this focus on work and productivity? What's the focus? What's the motive underneath all of that? And so once we get clear about that, then we can actually move in the direction of that, as opposed to the direction of, no, I got to go back to doing the same old, same old. That's not fun. In the past, I've mentioned in other podcasts, perhaps in Aging Like a Guru podcast, that 75 to 80% of the people in their careers and their jobs are not happy. And so in this time of the coronavirus, people can go, oh my God, I don't want to go back to that job. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't want to go back there. And that's a good moment. That's when you get to see, okay, that's not my path. To be unhappy or to be stressed or to be frustrated or disappointed all the time. Or it might be a relationship that isn't working. And because of this social separation, you don't have to be with that person. And you go, oh my God, I've got some relief. I don't have to be with that person or those people. So there's times where you begin to see for yourself what's really true. And the pragmatic element of that means that you can then choose to say, that's not where I want to go. I don't want to build my life around that anymore. What do I want to build my life around? And then the whole question comes up of, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to build that life. I'm going to go back to the old life. A client of mine who's just brilliant and wonderful and loving, and he's in sales, and he's been in sales his whole life. He's 55. And he's in sales his whole life, and he's not that happy. But it's like, well, what do you want to do? He goes, I don't know how to do anything else. And so that just puts sort of a kibosh on his desire, maybe to even consider the possibility of something else, because there isn't a reality outside that. So this element of the pragmatics gives us the opportunity to actually see the functioning of how we want to be in the world, how we want our life to feel every single day, the quality of peace and love and compassion and kindness, prosperity for us and ourselves and others. How do we create that? What's the pragmatics? But if we don't get to the foundations of our life in terms of what we want and the intentions of that want, then we can't actually begin to implement pragmatics in that direction. So it's scary to say, okay, this consensus reality, the way that it's been working, doesn't really work. And most people who are out of work right now, whether it's just a postponement or they've lost their job, there's that whole consensus reality has it's disappeared, and it's a different reality now. And so how do they create? How do you create? How do I create a reality that's going to be functional, even though it seems like it's impossible? And those are big questions, but that's what each and every single one of us are with these days, is to say, I have no idea how to do this. And you're not alone. You're not alone. And this moment is a moment where you can say, okay, I'm not alone. And just for me to be with myself right now and to honor that the way that it has been being for me isn't good. And I'm open to hearing something else. I'm open to listening. I'm open to seeing the world differently. I'm open to seeing myself differently. I'm open to seeing spiritual practice very pragmatically, that it will show me the way to myself and to my highest evolution. To my highest evolution, perhaps prosperity-wise too, fulfillment financially. We don't know. And yet my experience is that that's what is true, is you will be shown the way and you will be guided, and you get to make the choice of which choice to make, from fear or from love or from the spiritual truths and principles that have been in place for a very, very long time. All right, I'm taking a breath. Sending you all big hugs and blessings. There's a webinar my friend Margaret Lindsay and I will be doing called, I can't remember the title, but it's something like What Really Happens When Life Gets Scary. And she is a creative, expressive artist, and she does brilliant work. And so she and I will be talking with you about what's it like right now, and the 6 elements of times when it's so scary, how to work through those, and also using creative expression as a way to support this process of you being you. All right, big hugs, blessings, and bye for now.